too fast. All it took was one sign. I'll never be the same. Now I'm taking back my life today. Nothing left that you can say, 'cause you were never gonna take the blame anyway. Now I'm a warrior. I've got thicker skin. I'm a warrior. I'm stronger than I've ever been, and my armor is made of steel. You can't get in. I'm a warrior. You can never hurt me again. No. Ooh, yeah, yeah. You can never hurt me again.
Let's give it up for Lisa de Klerk again. That was absolutely fantastic, darling. What an apt song for this book launch tonight. Hello, beautiful people. Goeienaand. Good evening. Sabona, good journey. Everybody okay? Happy New Year to everybody. 2018, huh? Gonna rock at this, yeah? People that have been, is this first time to the bookshop? I just want to see. First time to this bookshop. Shame on you. I hope it's not going to be the last time. But on behalf of Scoop's Theatre of Books, my name is Deborah. I'd like to welcome you to this, the best bookshop in Johannesburg as far as I'm concerned. We've launched a lot of authors, South African authors, in our store. In the last 2 years, we're hitting the 300 mark of South African authors and African authors, and we're very proud of this. And our first one tonight, I'm very proud to say, is a warrior. I met Danelle and was totally intrigued with what she had to say. We all know what this country's like where things are this. And it's going to be a very interesting evening because your MC was one of the last books that we actually launched in this store, Silke Kaza, who wrote a book called Got You. And Gotcha! Is that how we're going to say it tonight? Silke concentrates. She's a polygraphist in crime. Another warrior woman, and I thought I'd put these two ladies together to make a beautiful conversation. And she actually goes to farms and investigates all this crime. And for a woman to do, to do this, for me is incredible. These are the kind of authors that are coming through to Scoobs, and it's just fantastic. Kim Hunter, thank you very much for being here tonight. Tango with Text. Guys, please check into Scoobs Theatre of Books. Tell people that you're here. Take photographs. Who's got a copy of the book? Who's read the book here? Good. I'm liking this. I hope you bought extra books. Danelle, did you guys bring extra books? Just a couple, because you're not walking out here without a book tonight. My security guards won't allow you. You know, we're helping South African authors in South Africa, and we're very proud to do this. Have a photograph taken with Silke, with Danelle, and with a copy of the book, and please post it on your Facebook page and tag her and share. This is how we show the world what we actually got in our country, reading South African authors. My Macy, I am very proud to be associated with you and Brendan, especially as ours is my mojo bird. The two of you are doing such incredible work, and I want to commend you both. I'm loving the book very much, by the way. You need to read it, right? You have to read it now. Dana, I'm so glad that you come and brought this beautiful book to me. I'm so glad that you've written it and you've taken the courage to have written this and share this traumatic experience, because that's what it was for your entire family. Give a round of applause, everybody! Come on! So please buy the book, take photographs, enjoy your evening. Let me see you again. Like Scoop's Theatre of Book Facebook page. Come to the events. I'm inviting you all to all the other events. Thank you for coming to all the other events tonight too, and supporting all the other authors. I hope to be a big part of your life going forward, you and your beautiful children. So without much further ado, I'm going to introduce you to your MC tonight, Ms. Silke Kaiser.
Thank you, Deborah. I always seem to end up behind this microphone, and I never ever saw myself doing this one day in my life, yet here I am. As Deborah mentioned, I work on farmer tax as a polygraphist, and I've worked extensively on this phenomenon. I work with a gentleman called Lucas Swart, and we normally get the information that a farm attack has been planned, and then I will go out and polygraph to see who's involved. I have occasionally been on farm attacks where the attack has happened. That's always hectic, but that is far and few between, thankfully. And about 2.5 years ago, I was called out to Hartbeespoort Dam in that area. A woman, a farmer, said that she definitely has information that a farm attack has been planned. And as I was driving, I drove past the Our Rescue Centre, and it was right next door. So I thought, oh, here they are. My goodness gracious me, and I've heard about them, and they do such awesome work. I would never ever have known that I would be standing here nearly 2.5 years later, being the MC to her awesome book. So, Danelle, I'm going to ask you to please come and take a seat next to me, and I'll sit here. So, I read Danelle's book. I got it on Saturday afternoon, and I'm a very busy girl, and I thought I'll read this on Monday, I'll glimpse through it. Well, I read for 4 hours on Saturday. I had to stop because I had to go out for supper. And then on Sunday morning, I thought I'll read 1 page and then I'll do my day. I sat, unwashed, unbrushed teeth till about 1 o'clock, and I finished this book. An incredibly easy read, resonated very strongly with me, because Danelle, living on a farm, her and her husband and her children have been the victims of farm raids and farm attacks. And she intertwines her story with the animals, the owls, Satan the sheep, and I really, really enjoyed the book. I was honestly glued to the book. I do love reading. I'm a bibliophile, and there are many books that grab me, and this one is one that will stay in my heart, and I think not least because it is so close to the work that I do. And I've printed out some questions for Danelle that I wanted to ask her, and I printed it out in font 12. Why I did this, I don't know, because I'm practically blind without my glasses. So I have to put my glasses on every time I'm going to ask her a question. All right, Danelle, the first question I wanted to ask you was, because your book was so beautifully written and you used some really long words, is English your first language?
No, English is not my first language. But before I answer the questions, I just wanted to say from my side, thank you for everybody who's here. I really, really do appreciate it. And also to you, Silke, thank you for being my MC. No. I was brought up in Afrikaans, so I am an Afrikaans girl, but I am married to an English guy, so that did help my English, I suppose.
So as I've mentioned, I've worked on many a planned farm attack, and you tell the story that is the story of so many South Africans, because we are all vulnerable to crime, and many of us have been on the wrong end of a gun, or one of our family members have been on the wrong end of a gun. So you've told the story that reflects so many South African stories, but what compelled you to write your story?
Initially, for me, it was a way to actually deal with it. It was a way to work through the trauma of it. I enjoy writing, I really do. So I used to always just jot down notes, and then one day I decided, well, why not make it into a book? Because I think it's an important story to tell. And I hope that other victims can also, maybe get comfort in the fact that they're not alone, that this is happening and it's happening to everybody. So.
Because Danelle, I think, you know, people living out in rural areas are perhaps a little bit more vulnerable than us who live in the city. We only really need it to happen to us once, and after that we're hyper-vigilant and we will watch. And many people who live in the city, and I found this out when I wrote my own book, is that we normally just have 1 or 2 incidences, whereas people in rural areas have many more incidences. And Danelle speaks in her book of many incidences of her place being cleared out of everything, and how her husband had to look for tsotsis. You know what tsotsis are? You know, on farms, looking for people who are trying to jeopardize their safety, and how her and her husband and her children have been victims of attacks. So now you've just almost answered my previous question, this question. I wrote here, I said, I so enjoyed your style of writing, and you just said you've always been a writer. Did you used to write very well when you were at school, and did you write in English or Afrikaans when you were at school?
I don't know if I was a good writer at school. Like I said, I always enjoyed it. It was always a hobby. It was always a dream of mine to become an author. Never thought that I would actually achieve it. I did write in English, yes. I think a lot of the stuff that I wrote was English.
And Donna, I know that you said you went to the Western Cape for about nearly, I think, 11.5 months. You had a project there with the owls, and I want to talk about the prime and the owls just now. When did you write, apart from that? Because I don't think you wrote this book just in those 11.5 months, because I know how long it took me to write my own book and the time that you have to expend. So you were doing your psychology degree, you had 2 great kids, you had Sky and her brother, whose name I'm so sorry I forget now, and Nikki. And I do apologise, I'm very bad with names. And you had all this going on, and your owls as well, and then you opened up a guest house. When did you actually sit down and write this book?
Every possible opportunity that I got. But it did take me, it wasn't in the 11 months that I finished it, although a big part of it I could finish there because I had the quietness there, you know. The crime was a big distraction everywhere else, but it also, like, after every incident happened, I was in which they, you know, linked to our attackers and said that, you know, I'm not aware of the exact details. I think I've blocked that out because it was obviously more traumatic to hear afterwards that our suspicions was true, that was what was going to happen. You know, they had planned to kill us. Yeah.
When you discuss your attack that happened when you were 8 years old and was very clearly an inside job, do you agree or do you feel that all farm attacks and all farm raids are inside jobs?
No. I do believe that some are, and the one that we had when I was a young child definitely was. But we've had farm attacks afterwards, and definitely not our staff. It might have been somebody else on the farm that we won't know. But no, we've got a very good relationship with our farm workers. And in certain instances, and it's also in the book, you might remember that before we were attacked, they were attacked, and they actually ran to us for help. And there was a time where Brendan and Peterson, you know, went together looking for guys or protected us while the women were hiding with the kids. Yeah.
Part of your story is about where you talk about all the animals that you had, and I did laugh at Satan the sheep. I'll ask you about him just now. But you mentioned a few times that you had to rescue animals, wild animals that had been bought as pets. And can you just tell us all why we should refrain from purchasing wild animals to keep as house pets?
Well, basically, wild animals are exactly that. They are wild, and they're never going to be domesticated. You know, there is a range of domesticated animals, and you know, wild animals don't fall into that because after a while, that animal does change, and they do become, like you read about the mongooses, I assume. They were brought us because after a while they turn against the family and they become unbearable to have around, and they end up in cages and they end up sitting in that cage and not having a life at all. Also, it's not fair to the animals, you know. And a lot of people have wild animals as pets. We have it a lot with the owls. where people want to keep them as pets and then feed them the wrong diet, and then we sit with the consequences of a like metabolic bone disorder and things like that with the owls. So it's not a good idea ever.
What was interesting to me is when we discussed the mongooses, because one of the main causes of crime across the world is the lack of a strong father figure. And when that father figure of the mongoose family disappeared, and you said maybe eaten by a jackal, I was so devastated about that poor little mongoose. You said that family sort of became out of control. And they've also found the same in elephant families. So that was very interesting to me. And I also wanted to ask you, how did you learn about animals? Because I think when I was reading your book, I got the sense that you lived on small holdings with your family and maybe had cats and dogs. So how did you learn about animals? I know that Brendan maybe knew about owls, but what was your learning curve with them?
Mine is just, I've always loved them since I was little, so, the technical side, the rehabilitation side, that I picked up later in life, obviously from Brendan. Brendan knew a lot about that. There's no real formal education that I did in animals. It's just learning working with them. No, he doesn't have a degree, but it is something that he also, as a young child, started doing self-study. Like every other kid would have hobbies. He had bird watching was one of his hobbies. So he would sit in the veld with his Roberts bird book and study birds, and he would look at nests and see when are they breeding, how many chicks are they, how are they raising their chicks, what are they eating. So he did basically first-hand observational studies on birds since he was a young boy. His passion just grew.
I know that Brandon eventually taught Satan the sheep to not mess with him. For those of you who want to know about Satan the sheep, you'll have to read the book. Now please tell me what happened to Satan eventually. Don't tell me he ended up in a braai. I'm polygraphing you. Brandon, did Satan end up in a braai?
We left the farm before he landed up.
Okay, I think I want to just move on at this point. All right. So getting back to the violence, the incredible violence that you and your family repeatedly went through. In the book, I sense that you feel that a part of you became lost through all that violence, and you seemed to mourn that loss. Do you think perhaps it was a growth in as much as it was losing that part of yourself? Because I know what I've been through with the farm attacks and what I have seen.
I suppose you go through stages. So there was definitely a stage where you feel out of control, where you get depressed, where you don't know how to handle it. And then you find the strength inside yourself, and then that's where the growing starts, and it's once you realise that you don't have to be a victim, and if you change your mindset about it and you're not afraid anymore, and you take that power back, then everything changes. So definitely, eventually it became a growing process. Absolutely.
And Anal, you don't have a gun, do you?
No.
You have a degree in psychology for which you studied whilst you were moving locations, because you moved quite a few times, and experiencing the attacks in your life, and the lives of your children were also in danger. In your book, it is clear that you try to process what makes criminals so violent. Do you think there is one clear answer?
No, I don't think there's one clear answer, because I think, the human psyche is just so complicated to put it down to one single thing. I do think it's a huge social issue in our country. Definitely, like you said, father figures does play a role, but I don't think there's one isolated thing that you can say, this is exactly what causes it, no.
And did you also, because in your book you write about what they said, do you sense that?
Yes, absolutely. In certain cases, we've had more than one attack. In the one attack, I think it was purely somebody wanting money. Purely a poverty thing. But there were other attacks where you could see the clear hatred and the clear, your evilness, like you explained.
Because the bloodlust is definitely increasing in farm attacks, and research has shown that it is because our politicians are screaming about, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, and that definitely has an impact on farm attacks. And the bloodlust is definitely increasing, and there's been a great desensitization to violence in South Africa. Do you think that the attacks became more violent over a period of time?
Yes, I definitely do believe that it is escalating. It's going up, and like you said, it's got a lot to do with your leadership from the top. If they're telling everybody that somebody else is to blame for their problems, then that's what they're going to start believing, and they're going to build up anger because of it. Misdirected anger, but anger, and that results into violence.
Yes. Because I firmly believe that if we were where we should be in our democracy, there would not be so much anger, if there was many more people flourishing, which we could have been doing if it wasn't for the billions taken out of this country. Then this, we're concentrating on a land issue, and the issue in our country is not land. It's definitely not land. In your book, I'm going back to the owls. In your book, you mentioned that the owls were also vulnerable in the attacks, and that they are prized in the belief of Muti. Can you please expand on how they would kill the owls and what the different body parts would be used for? Do you not know that? Okay. All right, then we'll bypass that. But would they steal the owls, or would they kill them on the site and then remove them?
No, they would steal them and take them away. Sometimes they sell them live to the Muti, the Sangomas. Brendan's actually gone into Muti markets in Johannesburg, and stolen live birds out because he can't handle them being there, so he's stolen them out. So no, they're not killed on site. They're killed later. To get back to your earlier question, I don't know what part is used for what, but there is a belief that if they use, like for example, the eyes, I've heard, that they could then, see wisdom, see things that the future, things that other people can't see. So, but I'm sure there's different beliefs, and I'm not 100% sure on all the different beliefs. So.
Are you still there in Hartbeespoort? You're still there. And I know you're still running your guests as well, your guest farm, almost, no more guests. Just in her book, the guests were often robbed as well. And Brandon would go out all night, and he literally lived on about 3 or 2 hours sleep. And I know quite a bit about Brandon. I know he has a foot fetish as well. You haven't read the book, have you, Brandon? There's quite a bit more. I think you need to read the book. I probably know more about you than what you think I know. And does Brandon still look around? Is he still out every night waiting for somebody to come and attack you?
We've actually been lucky. The last while it's been very quiet in our area. So we've got security guards that do circle, that make sure that nobody intrudes. But a few of the guys have been caught, and Brendan actually chased down one guy. He after attack he started chasing up leads, and he spoke to a few people in the area. He paid some people to get some information, and he actually tracked down one of the guys who was involved in most of the crime. He was the organizer of the crime, and he started chasing him. And he started making it difficult for him to come anywhere near, because if he was at the garage that is close to us, Brendan would be there, because we would get a phone call to say, listen, the guy's now crossing over, or he's by the garage, he's coming up the sand road, and then Brendan and whoever's available to help would go and make sure that he knows that we're onto him, So that definitely made a big impact. Like I said earlier, if you take back that control and you're not the victim anymore. So he literally changed the tables, and he literally, turned the tables on them, and instead of being scared, I think they became scared.
So that is very interesting. Now that part is not in the book. And the safety and the security of the hit squads, as they call themselves, the people who commit the atrocities on the farm attacks, that's what they call themselves, the hit squads. And the minute their safety and security is jeopardized, they will run, because they are cowards at heart. So it's very interesting what Brandon did. And he worked with impimpies, which is another word for informants. And that's a very good thing, and we do the same, and we pay for the information. So once that kingpin is out of the picture, they basically have to regroup, but they would think twice, knowing that Brandon is like a fox terrier, and that you did not give up, Brandon, and that you chased him, and eventually did he just move out of the area?
He was actually caught. Eventually, by putting some pressure on the detectives, they did catch him, and there was a whole bunch of cases against him. All the navies got together, got the case numbers, and as far as we know, he's behind bars. We hope, yeah.
So you don't have guests anymore on your farm. Did you stop the guests because of the hassles? I know they would phone you at 2 a.m. to say there's a fire 50,000 kilometers away, go put it out. And you would say, well, I can't, I haven't got my shoes on, and there's thorns. Not quite, but somewhere along those lines. Is that why you gave up the guest farm, or was it because of all the attacks that you were suffering, or was it a combination of both?
Well, we basically just decided to focus on the owls solely. It was difficult to deal with people and to do what we do with the owls. So we decided that that's going to be our focus. We're obviously open to members. They can be a part, but the general public, we found that are not always on the same wavelength in terms of the conservation of it. So people would come and they would play the loud music, or they would go and bug the owls, and that's completely against what Brendan and I are about. You know, we've got minimum contact with the owls. We keep them wild. We make sure that they've got the best chance of survival afterwards. And a lot of people, you know, didn't respect it the way that we wanted it to.
I think it's just amazing what you and Brandon do with owls, because I don't think there's anybody else in South Africa working with owls. I think it really is only the two of you. How many owls at the moment? I know you say you keep it minimal, and I read in your book how you feed the owls and you put food out for them, and then they come down and eat the food, and then once they're ready for release, you release them. How many owls at the moment?
Roughly about 60, 65 at the moment, different species, in different stages of rehabilitation.
What you didn't really talk about in your book is how do the owls come to be injured? I'm sure it's with electrical wires, maybe rat poison, pellet guns. Am I right? And then who brings the owls to you?
A lot of the rescues we do ourselves. Brendan goes out and rescue them, but people also bring them through to our sanctuary. So whenever a member of the public is out and about and they see an injured owl, they either bring it to us or they phone us and we go out and fetch it.
So I'm not going to talk about something that's private because you put it in your book. When you bought your property, you were told by the estate agent who was obese, and yes, I remember that part. Anything to do with weight, I will remember. And the owner of that farm, so he had tried to sell it about 5 years previous, and then that agent said it's still available, and then you did a deed of sale where you were going to pay 100,000 rand a month. And they also lied to you and said, no, it's quiet here. And I'm thinking, like, hold on, I know about this area. It's not. Like, don't do it, Danielle, don't do it. Anyway, you did it. And then you heard that the owner had, in fact, been held up at gunpoint, and then your raids and your attack started, and your guests were also attacked. So what I wanted to say to you is, you say now the attacks, that it's sort of died down because that kingpin has gone, but do you hold a grudge against the owner and against the estate agent? And I also want to ask you, are you able to make your payments? Because I know that was a huge leap for you. And again, I thought how brave and courageous both of you are, because I would never start an owl sanctuary. I would not have the courage. Give me a farm attacker before to do anything like what you guys have done, seriously. And I've asked you a lot of questions in one go, just down the same page as me.
No, I don't hold grudges. If you get to know me, you'll know that I don't. Obviously, I would have preferred if he was open and honest from the start, because when we sat in the meeting, the one thing that I did say to him is, we're moving because we want to save a spot for our family and for our kids. So obviously there was a bit of anger afterwards, but no grudges. We have a very good relationship, and yeah, we're still paying him.
You're just managing your payments from the membership of the Owls?
We've got various fundraising initiatives, yeah. So we've got projects where we put up our houses, which generates income. We raffling off a Mustang, I'm sure everybody knows about that. Yeah, so we're always busy with initiatives to bring funds in.
Do you find you get a lot of support from the corporate world regarding your owls?
It's hard. It's not easy. It's not like you can just send them an email and they openly say, yeah, sure, we'll throw money at you. But with some creative, what would you call it, force, we do sometimes, like on social media, we would tag a corporate and say, listen, do get involved. And because we've got such a big following and amazing followers, people that really, really help out whenever they can, they would start tagging this company, and then eventually they would come to us and say, okay, fine, we'll help you.
Danelle, I know in your book you said you shy and introverted. Doesn't seem like it tonight, but and do you feel that life almost said to you, I demand that you love me? Because that's what I wanted to say to you. I sent you about 50 emails when I was writing your book. And do you feel that life almost said to you, I demand that you love me, and even if it's through violence and owls and all these different facets?
Yes, no, absolutely. I've always believed that everything happens for a reason, and that you should take whatever scenario and make it work for you. So I know it sounds weird from farm attacks, but still, like we discussed earlier, you do learn something about yourself through it, and you do grow from it. So yes.
I think when people can grow from something such as horrific as a farm attack or a hijacking or a home invasion, where you are rendered utterly powerless, and if you can grow from that, because that is a wonderful thing, because really, being on the wrong end of a gun, it's something that is so much bigger than you, that you're either going to sink or swim. And many people have said to me years later, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because somehow they got in touch with their spirituality again, they realised what was important. So I wanted to say thank you very much, Danelle, for writing your book, because as you know, I enjoyed it. I spent the whole weekend basically on your book, and well done. Is there going to be a second book? What's that going to be about? Give us a hint. Owls, jackals, mongooses, Satan. Okay. Are there any questions? We welcome questions.
Yes.
Yes, Deborah.
I'm going to start this off because I know how you feel about this, Silke.
Yes.
Danelle, it's not a question, it's just an observation. When Silke talks about the murders and the farm murders, she emphatically states that it is not a race-related. Many of the farm attacks and home invasions are not race-related. How do you feel about that statement?
Deborah, I think, like I said earlier, I think it's half-half. I can't say that it's not, or I can't say that it is. Like I said, there were certain ones that you knew was just out of poverty, just people stealing. But then the other attacks that happen are just too violent. The way it comes across, there's definitely an undertone of anger. And that anger, I can only think, stems from a racial issue, from what they told you.
An observation in Silke's book is that the guys that actually do the farm attacks do not actually want to rape women. And they was it was in one of your books, and that statement was said. And if you do ask them, I think it was you, Silke, that said that they when you say please don't rape me, they don't, because they're not there to rape you. They are there for the reasons of whatever crime they committed there. How do you feel about that?
All right. So Deborah, this is how rape works. It's a terrible thing, obviously, rape, but it's a very specific crime, and a rapist carries a definitive criminal profile. And a lot of the farm attackers do not regard themselves as rapists. There have been incidences when a rape was about to occur where the woman was able to prevent it. If I knew what words would prevent a rape in every case, I would put it across the world. I don't know the magic words because there are none. In one of the farm attacks that I attended to, the woman, they had stripped her naked, and she said literally, it was a voice that she didn't even think of it. She said to the guy, I forgive you. He couldn't do it. And then there was also another case where she was not raped. So if a rape is planned, so in a farm attack, all farm attacks are meticulously planned. And the rape is already pre-planned, the murder is already pre-planned, the torture is pre-planned. The hit squad do not decide on this. It is the contact people who decide on the plan. The contact people are the employees on the farms, the ones that are involved. So all farm attacks are inside jobs, whether it be somebody living on the farm, somebody living next door to the farm, or somebody working inside the farmhouse. And the belief in witchcraft runs its thread throughout crime in South Africa. And a lot of these farm attacks, the South African people, the farm attackers, the ones that are South African, will go to Sangoma. The hit squad is often made up of South Africans and Zimbabweans. This is because the South Africans believe that the Zimbabweans are better educated. Whether that is true or not, it's not for me to say. Not for me to say if witchcraft works or not. So they get into the house, now they're going to start the attack, and the rape is planned. If one person in that hit squad change their mind, the whole hit squad will change their mind because of the superstition. Farm attacks are not race related. I've worked for black farmers as well, where the plan was very similar. Torture, rape, murder, it's the same thing. Black farmers, and there are very successful black farmers in South Africa, they are as much at risk as the white farmers. Their anger, the rage is the same. And farm attacks, it is not genocide. I promise you it's not genocide. And it is not racially motivated. They are not going to waste their bullets, because bullets are very precious. They are not going to waste their time, because to plan a farm attack takes months. It does take months. And from the minute that a farm attack is planned, there is a watcher in the woods. So that farm will be watched 24 hours a day. So I know when I get to a farm and that plan is in place, and we get our information through various methods, and one of them is through MPPs, and the information that Lucas and I get is the exact information that the hit squad have. So I know when I get out of my little green Kia Picanto and with my laptop bag, I know I'm being watched. And sometimes I'll throw a zap sound, because I don't have to be a lady when I'm attending to a farm attack, because I want them to know I know what you're up to. And the motive of all farm attacks is this: guns, money, or jewellery. That's it. Guns, money, or jewellery. It is not racial. It is not genocide. That's what they want. In homes as well, it is guns, money, and jewellery. Those are the three main things. Did I answer the question? Right. Sorry, I'm taking over here, Donald.
Anybody else wants to ask a question? Yes. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Do you ever get schools involved for our rescues? We have an our release pen and we do our releases at the school that I work at. So do you ever get involved in that sort of thing?
We don't do that specific project because all the releases we do ourselves. It's very calculated. You know, we actually spend all the time there monitoring the hours, post-monitoring. So no, not we don't get involved with schools that way. You've got other ways that we do involve schools, though. Yeah.
Other ways you involve schools?
We've got camps where schools can come and do a conservation camp for 5 days. We go to schools, we do talks. Schools can come for a day and volunteer with us, see what it's about. We're all about growing passion for conservation in young kids. So, but they don't get to physically work with ours. So we like to control that process. So. Anybody else? Yes.
Where do you release the owls to once they enter the vessel?
A large portion of the owls are released from our farm because of the post-monitoring that we do. It's a very long process. The owls, for example, the juveniles would spend months with the parents learning how to hunt. So we have to take over that whole process. So the owls are released and they actually hang around for months afterwards where we support feed them. So in the book I explain as well the exact methods that we use to ensure that they do come back for feedings. But we find like game farms, anything that's far away from whatever's going to be a threat to them. So far away from roads, far away from anybody using poison. So we often camp out on game farms, like we've got one on the border of Limpopo that we use because it's nice and big. There's enough space to still, it can take more hours. So all our smaller species are released there. Yeah, and we're always in contact with farmers, whoever's got a suitable spot. So.
Okay, so if we have a suitable spot, you'd be open to...
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So what we do is beforehand we go and we spend the night there, and we just do a bit of observation to see what species are there, what population, so that you don't bring an owl in that and there's already a resident owl that's going to chase it out. So we spend the night there to make sure that it's a suitable spot, it's away from anything that's going to harm it, and then when we decide, we put up a semi-permanent structure then to do the release show. Okay. Thanks, Sam.
I'm going to congratulate you on your book first. You're afraid I'm supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, it's a very personal thing that you wrote about. It's very difficult to do. And I want to know, is there any justifiable reason that you can think someone else can plan an attack on someone, or any type of aggression attack, and you can justify that out of their personal situation? Because if it was very personal for you, do you think that's justifiable for them out of your perspective?
Sure, that's a difficult one. I did try, by studying human behavior, try to understand why somebody would behave in that way. And I think often, if it doesn't fit into your own way of how you see the world, it's difficult to understand somebody else doing something like that. I suppose, poverty, I say in my book as well, if you come and steal a bread, I'm never going to judge you, because I understand, if you're hungry and you've got no other option, that would be fine. What my problem is the violence that comes with it. It's the method that it's done in.
So it's not justified. No, I'm asking is, yeah, okay.
Are there any other questions? So thank you very much all for coming. And I would suggest that you buy this book. You will not be sorry. It is such an easy read as well. I flew through it. Thanks very much indeed. Thanks, Danelle, and congratulations once again on your book. And I look very forward to the second one. In fact, I insist you send me the draft. I can't wait. Okay.
Oh, that's a big compliment, Silka.
Don't ask me to edit it though, because we won't talk about editing, will we, Deborah? All right, so thank you very much, everybody. And that's it. Thank you, Deborah.
Our first launch, and all you beautiful people are here, thank you so much for coming. To buy the book, you can just get it signed by Danelle, and then you can go downstairs and pay for it. Don't worry about it, okay? So mill around, buy the book, and we're going to have another song. Yes? Come along. Can we have Danelle a round of applause, please, everybody? Thank you very much.